The purpose of this algorithm is to print the numbers that have repeated from a given array, and from the website where this algorithm was posted, there were lots of folks who were confused and saying that the algorithm does not work or something is wrong with it. But I'll tell you, this algorithm works. The reason that many misinterpreted the purpose of this algorithm, I'll explain here. First, in the array here, so again, the purpose is to print the repeating numbers, which is in this from this array, that would be 1 and 2. And if we count, the array has size of 5. So that means that 4 is the maximum number that the array can contain. So, for example, this 3, you cannot make this 7, because again, 4 is the maximum. So that's one of the constraint. And the reason is that every member of this array will index on its own. So 1 will use to index which point to 2, and 2 will index into its own self which points to 3. And as you can see now, that is why you cannot have a cell member of the array greater than the size of the array, because that would index into an invalid location. So that is the first constraint. And the second constraint is the array should not have a 0 member, because 0 could not be negated. Yeah, you can trace this algorithm later on, and you can see, you can Google it and examine it closely, but let me explain how it works here. So from this given array, we can see that the repeating numbers are 1 and 2. But so the way that the algorithm was able to find it out is, when the algorithm iterated and first examined 1, it took the absolute value of this element 1 and used it to index on its own self, which points to 2, and caused this element 2 to be negated. So on the first iteration, the array has mutated. The array is now 1, negative 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay? On the second iteration, we are now reading at 2 and taking its absolute value. So we index 2 into its own self, which points to 3 and cause 3 to be negated as well. So the array is now mutated and is now become 1, negative 2, negative 3, 1, 2. On the third iteration, we are now pointing to 3, and 3 calls for the negation of this element 1, because when 3, the value of 3 is used to index on its own self, and that will be pointing to 1 here, and 1 will be negated. And therefore, on the fourth iteration, the array is now mutated, and the array has now a value of 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 1, and 2. Now on the fourth iteration, we are now reading the value of 1 and taking its absolute value, which is 1, which now we use 1 to index into its own self, pointing to 2. But since 2 is already negative, that is the signal that 1 has repeated. This is the second instance of 1. So the gist of this algorithm is that the first occurrence of 1 caused 2 to be negated. The second occurrence of 1, we examine 2, which is now negated, and thus it signals that this is a second occurrence of 1, other because its first occurrence has caused this, both of this element 1 points to this 2 here. So it's very interesting that I don't know, but this algorithm is just interesting. Now on the fifth iteration points to 2, then that would 2 pointed to this 3 here, which is already been negated by the first occurrence of 2, and therefore the second occurrence of 2 is a signal to the algorithm that 2 is already a second instance and is thus repeating. So, and that is why you cannot have a member of the array that is greater than the size of the array, because each member of the array is used to index the array. So I hope this clears up some of the confusion of this otherwise interesting and little piece of algorithm written by this guy here.